Talk don't bother me. I want the whole wide world to know that I love you so.
And welcome to Let Them Talk. I'm Paul DiRienzo.
And I'm Miss Joan Marie Musi.
And our guest is Janis Brenner. Welcome.
Thank you.
Very good. And Janis is, well, Joni, I'm going to let you do the honors, so I'm going to watch the levels
Well,
over
Janis
here.
is a very interesting choreographer who has a big show coming up with 5 parts, right?
5 pieces.
5 pieces
yes.
within the
the
show.
evening.
Mm-hmm. And why don't you first tell everybody about where and when, so we can go back over that later.
Yes, my company's New York season, we're called Janis Brenner Dancers, the company, and it is being held at the Joyce Soho, down in Soho.
Great theater.
Yes, it's lovely. And it's from November 12th through the 15th, Thursday through Sunday, the week after this.
All right, excellent. So why don't we just start out, though, with talking about how you got involved with dance. I know you've been doing it for many years, and so did you study dance in college? Is that the...
Oh my gosh, I started when I was 5.
Oh, wow, okay.
So
In
I
ballet?
wasn't in college when I was 5. I started actually with what they called interpretive dance when I was 5. So I was doing improvisation since I was 5 years old. And
that's interesting, because usually people, their mom starts them in ballet.
yes, I had gone to see a ballet when I was 5, and I probably said I want to do that. But I grew up on Long Island, and you know, there were a ton of those sort of commercial dance studios, not as many as there are now, but we found this very sort of progressive, forward-thinking woman, Jean Minkus, who taught creative dance. And then when I was 8, I went into seriously wanting to be a ballerina, and studied with Andrei Iglevsky and his wife. They had the Iglevsky School of Ballet on Long Island. And then when I was 11, I stopped ballet because Iglevsky told me my ankles were not strong enough to go on toe, and that I would cripple myself if I did. And I pleaded with him, please, please let me, I'll work harder, I'll be better. And he said, no, no, no. And he actually saved my career by not letting me become a ballerina. And also,
it's that physically straining to be a ballerina.
well, it's a
Especially to go on toe.
a particular technique to be on dancing on your toes.
I've seen it, sure, and
right.
everybody's seen that.
Your ankles need to be a certain kind of strength and placement, and actually my temperament was much more suited to modern dance anyway, as I discovered. So I started seriously dancing really when I was 13. Got into a small local civic dance company on Long Island when I was 16, and then went to college as a dance major with a minor in voice, because all of this time I was also singing.
Oh,
my mother said I came out of the womb dancing and singing already, like mothers will say. But I was already in a rock and roll band when I was in high school. We played the Battle of the Bands on Long Island. We won.
Great.
Yeah, it was a pretty great band. We did mostly covers. Some Beatles, some Laura Nyro was our big specialty.
You sang Laura Nyro songs?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Two lead singers, me and my best friend Michelle, we were the chick singers, because it was
great.
the 70s. And yeah, and we got to record a little bit in the city, because we won the Battle of the Bands. And so I've always grown up with both of those things as great loves in my life. We were called Smolak.
Smolak, okay.
Smolak, and you could not figure out why unless you read a Saul Bellows novel called Henderson the Rain King. It was a bear character in Saul Bellows' novel, and one of the guys in the band said, that's the name of our band. Yeah. So we were just, you know, we were the chick singers. We said, okay. They were all 2 years older than us.
So you were willing to go along to get to sing.
Yeah, we looked up to them a lot. They were very talented. And we're still friends with some of them, too, and they still play.
Oh, how fun.
So when I went to college, I discovered Alwyn Nicolai and Murray Lewis, and I actually left college after 2 years to go follow them into New York to study with them.
Now tell the audience a little bit about who they are, because they might not.
Yeah, they're considered sort of the second generation pioneers of modern dance in the United States. And they had their own school, their own separate companies. This is along the time of Merce Cunningham was working, and Martha Graham and Alvin Ailey and Paul Taylor. Alwyn Nicolai and Murray Lewis, they were all sort of in the same
Like wave,
echelon.
yeah.
Yeah. And I got into Murray Lewis's company, which by then was the only company I wanted to dance for, and toured the world with him for nearly 8 years, and then started doing my own work. Wanted to go back to sort of speaking my own language, and also finding ways to integrate voice back into my life, because in a dance company it's very, very particular that you have to concentrate on your dancing like 150,000%.
Sure.
Now I know you've worked with Meredith Monks, and tell us a little bit about that.
Before you go on, I want to ask a question. Can we show one of your video, Lake? I know it's on YouTube.
Sure.
If I go find that right now, and
Yes.
while you guys are chatting, and I'll find it and bring it up, and we'll play it
Okay.
behind us.
We'll
Okay.
talk
Yeah.
about Meredith
All right.
Monks.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
a
you guys
piece
can
I
talk.
made on 2 of my dancers just 5 years ago,
Oh,
the
great.
piece Lake, and it was made into a dance film.
Wonderful.
Yeah, when I started doing my own work around 1985, I formed my own company officially around 1989, and in a year later, Meredith was casting for this big new opera that she was going to do, and she wanted some new people from the usual ensemble that she had worked with, and she wanted people who were what you call triple threats, who can sing, dance,
And
act, play music. And so I went and sang for her, and it was sort of a workshop. And I sang for her, and we danced, and other people were there. And she said to me, "Janis, I think I've heard your voice before. It sounds very familiar to me. Have you sung for me before?" And I said, "No, never." She said, "I've seen you dance, but I've never heard you sing." And I said, "No, I don't think so." So I went back, and the third time she said, "I want you in the opera." And she said, "I think your voice sounds familiar to me because it sounds a bit like mine." So I said, "Oh, bless you." Like
I thought maybe she'd been at the Battle of the Bands.
yes, right, right. Yeah, that would have been funny.
That would be funny.
Yeah, so I started working with her on this work called Atlas in 1990. So it's been 19 years
Wow.
on and off that I've worked,
That you've
with,
worked
her
with her.
and sung in her work. And this season, this New York season, she gave me an old piece of hers to revive, and it's called Break. It's basically the first dance solo that she made for herself that was part of the Judson dance theater movement in the 60s. The
Right.
piece is from 1964.
Wow, that's excellent.
Yes.
And that's part of this upcoming show at
it's
the Joyce.
opening the program.
Oh, wonderful.
Because